and welcome back to Bump Love. As usual, mom life ain't bad life and mothering ain't suffering. And so when we hear from you guys on what you're going through, we are absolutely ecstatic. Now, today we have a DM from a one anonymous mom who says, "Hello, Bump Love. Thanks for the great work you're doing. I'm a stay-home mom of three. I had three kids in exactly 3 years. So the age difference between my children is 1 year. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. My problem is they don't listen to me at all. I will tell them to do or not do something the entire day until I develop a headache. But nothing changes. I beat them and no change. And guys, I do the real beating. They sometimes tell me how they don't like me and they prefer their dad. And it breaks my heart. This happens because I punish them and their dad rarely does this since he's home only in the evenings. Please help with advice. Am I a bad mother? How should I do it? I faced it rough with a stepmom and later losing a dad who was my everything. I felt alone thereafter and hoped that one day I would have kids who would be my friends and I would make them my siblings. And now my kids tell me they don't like me. I'm always crying alone and asking God what I did. Please help me. Thank you."
Anonymous mom, first of all, to answer your first question, no, you're not a bad mom. In my view, I think your kids are young. They're actually babies. Because, like, for example, how can you be a friend to a 1-year-old? Like, what relationship is that? So I'd like to say, like, I remember my child was the same way, and he used to talk about how I don't like you. He would stay outside, make noise, and I want to go to be with my father. I don't want to be, you're not my mother. And he would shout and shout, but I look the other side and continue cooking because I'm sorry, I can't assist you at 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So, but I remember everything changed as he got older. Actually, my point has always been the 6-year mark. And then our relationship started to change. So in my view, I think yours are babies, and these are the early learning years, both for you and your children. So I would just want to tell you to release yourself from this early expectation of friendship. So hopefully you can get more advice about how to guide or nurture the toddlers in your house. But release yourself. It's too early to want to be friends to a 1 year, 2 year, 3-year-old children.
Yeah, Pumla, what Pumla says is so true. Just release. I think as moms, we have all these expectations of ourselves, mostly from what we hear from other moms or from other platforms, or maybe expectations from like when we're growing up, which you so aptly put that when you were growing up, you face it rough with your stepmom. So yes, release yourself from that pressure. I get the sense that the not listening is coming from maybe the lack of structure or lack of routine. So kids usually adapt to a certain way of doing things. And so if maybe you have your adult structure, which is you're a mom, you know, you need to take care of the kids. So in your head, you know what to do. But I think the kids sort of don't have like an outlet. They don't have what they are supposed to be doing. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you know that at this time the kids have breakfast. And then at this time they have a snack. And then at this time, it's time to play. And at this time, maybe we go take a walk. I don't know, something that can occupy them. Because when they know what they're supposed to be doing, then also it's easier for you to enforce discipline. But I'm even struggling with that because they are young. They really are babies. You know, they're still really, really, really young. But I think just having a sense of control in terms of what they do during the day while you are busy toiling, because you mentioned that you're a stay-at-home mom, might help take the pressure off. I think many times when you're overwhelmed in the kitchen or overwhelmed in terms of looking after your kids, and your kids don't have structure, they don't have some sort of routine on what they are doing, then it becomes, then they become your irritations. Like, do something, you know, you're not listening. I have told you to do this, I have told you to do that, and you're not listening. So I would say that create some sort of routine in terms of what they do. that then they can start to adapt to, because kids adapt very easily, and especially in that age range. If they are busy and if they know what they are supposed to be doing, then it sort of takes a little pressure off of you, and you're able to assign discipline in terms of, okay, you're supposed to be doing this. This is time for eating, blah blah blah. And then the second thing I noticed, you said that you're the one who does the disciplining. I think that you need to have a chat with the father of your children, because if you're the one who is doing the discipline, you will always come off as the bad person. So he needs to join forces with you, or support you in that discipline, so that they are not running to daddy for comfort per se, but you present a united front, that you are both disciplining, or that I may be doing the disciplining, but daddy supports my disciplining or my telling you on what to do. So I would say it sounds like you don't have control, like you feel like you're losing control because there's so much to do, and because your kids are so close in age. So just establishing routines and structure, like I'm sure Manuela can advise best, might help in giving you a semblance of sanity. Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't add any more on what you've just said, Rachel. And I think that's right. And like you've so rightfully said, the dad needs to come in. So you really do need to have a conversation with the dad. And I think just to be able to say, okay, so this happened today, and then for the dad to call them in to speak with them and say, oh, this happened today with mommy, and she had to, spank you, and I don't think that you should have done it. What goes wrong is if they do something in his presence and he does nothing, then there really is an issue, and you should be able to say to him, that this is a problem. Now, I think most of the time, my biggest advice to moms who are going through what you're going through, the anonymous mom, again, is to first stop. Just stop. There's an indication that you're not okay. And there's just absolutely no way you're going to reach your children's hearts and their minds and their ears. You've even failed to reach their bum, like as you spank. So it just goes to show you that you're not reaching them in any way right now, and you need to just stop. I would advise you, like when you wake up in the morning, tell them, open your doors really wide and tell them, go and play, and close those doors and come back and restore yourself. Come back. You hear crying, you hear shout. Don't do anything. Just look out the window. Is there blood? No blood. Leave. Let them, just leave them to their own devices, so that you restore yourself, because you're not okay. You feel like you're running mad. There's just so much going on. Just come back to a place of restoration, and then start to work with one child at a time. I feel like you're trying to get all the children to be in order, the same, based on what you've seen on TV and what. Just pick one child for now and pick the one who can give you quick victories, like where you're like, okay, so that you're feeling like you can feel encouraged, right? So pick the one who can give you the greatest victories. But I think one of the things that the biggest problem that I've found working with parents when it comes to instilling discipline is two things. One, we discipline our children, or we shout and we beat and we cane based on so many variables. So for example, they've taken tea and left their cup. You discipline. They've left the toilet seat and didn't flush. You discipline. They left the lights on and you discipline. Then it's like you're discipline. It looks to them like you discipline for everything, so they don't really care anymore. So I would advise you get one rule, like one main rule, for example, which is, in this home we are responsible. What does responsibility mean? It means when I take my cup, I take it back to the sink. When I switch on the light, I switch it off. When I use the toilet, I flush the toilet. Just the main word responsible covers so many sins inside it. Why are we doing this? The day they leave the cup, you'll say, oh, that wasn't responsible of you. You left the cup. Or that wasn't responsible of you. You left the toilet. That wasn't responsible. So they keep hearing the main word, which is responsibility. Now they will respond to responsibility over the cup, the sweeping, the toilet. They're just like, my God, so many rules. But now it will look like our rule is one: responsibility. That's it. So That's the first one. Then the second one is how you punish, or how you, yeah, I know people call it discipline, but it's how you punish. So most parents use the same punishment for all day. Just really quickly, what I would say.
First of all, you're not a bad mom. The art of staying calm, I think, should be used by every mom, especially when your kids are in the same age range. I'm pretty much like you. My kids have been in the same age range, but I learned the art of keeping calm because, man, you can go crazy. You need to collect yourself, like Manuela said, pick yourself up, fill your cup so that then it can overflow. Have that self-love so that then you're able to love onto your children. Because you feel, it seems like you're in a place where your self-love is gone, you're disgusted about everything, that is not helping. Put yourself together, calm down, draw a plan. Start with maybe talking to daddy, you're overwhelmed, you need his help and stuff like that. And I think beating the kids is not the best solution all the time. So let that not be your punishment, solution to them. There are many ways of, having to talk to your kids. I have a feeling you're raising some strong-headed children in there, because they're the ones that bring most of the trouble. They're the ones that don't listen mostly, because if they were 10, you wouldn't be having those problems, Their mothers raising 10 kids and, oh, my kids are good. You'll tell them to sit and they're seated. I have a feeling you're raising some really strong-headed children, and you need to learn their temperaments. They are not the same. So don't expect the same from everyone. Like Fata, my strong-headed child, if I call on to them and he's the last to come, I'm not too harsh on myself. I don't sweat the small stuff, because it's just him being slow. Guys, I said, come to the table now. No, you have learned that he's strong-headed. You're giving him time and you're not stressing. So learn the art of keeping calm. Put yourself together, get some, self-love. Then you'll be able to love onto your kids. Because one other language Angie keeps saying is love. Just love onto them, because now they are starting to hate on you because you're also not showing the love that they need. We are punishing them, but not when we are angry. So we love onto them as we punish them. We love onto, like they still feel the love regardless of, whatever is going on. But, just stuff like eye contact when you're telling them stuff to do. It's not like they are too young to learn, because that's the age when they actually need to be learning the ground rules. You talk to them and tell them the responsibility. I like that Manuela used that, because it's been very common in my house. Be responsible. I told you to sweep when you drop stuff. And, when you also lose something in the house, you're like, oh, guys, did you see my phone? He's like, well, you're not being responsible enough. You're also not responsible. You lost your phone. But from me to you is just get your self-love, get your love, get your cup filled so that you're able to love onto your family. Because if you don't, you're going to be stressed all the time. You'll be like, man, who pushed me to have these kids? And yes, that's not what we have. We want you to have, because mom life ain't bad life, Yeah, over to you, Angie.
I'll tell you this story. My son's about the same age gap as this lady, because in 4 years, you have 1 4, 1 2, 1 0. So they kind of grew up like that. I came home one day and I found them doing stuff. I don't know if I've said this story before, but you're not a bad mom, because we all get tired. We all get exhausted. You reach a point and you're like, I came home, I found my boys, they were much younger. I just got into the bathroom, and at that moment, my mom called. So I picked up the phone. And then the second she spoke, I just started bawling. And she told me, Leah, you cry, my child. When I finished, she told me, Sasa, nenda ukaoshe, go wash your face. And then she told me an elephant has never failed to carry its own tusks. There's a Swahili saying like that. So I got to that point where we all get to that point, right? It would be a good idea if we spaced our children a little bit more. I mean, we won't get into family planning or whatever, but the body needs a certain amount of time to bounce back. Just like the spirit, just like, all your energy. So if you have back-to-back children, you are drained. And the truth is, in this particular situation, You didn't have these children alone. Even if he comes back in the evening, he should reinforce. Maybe he needs to get you a bit of help, you know. When we women have children, sometimes we lose ourselves in this whole, you know, madness. But if somebody keeps reminding you or gives you assistance, most people look at the physical body, but they don't know what we feel inside. You know, you wake up and ask yourself, who am I without these children? I'm going through that stage where my children are leaving home and I'm asking myself, will I be useful to anybody else? So you have to constantly be reminding yourself that. As Pumla said, these children are too young to be your friend. I'll tell you this. At 13, at 14, they will say the very same things to you, but I'll tell you this. Kids ain't supposed to be your friends. This mambo jumbo of CG, kids are your friends. A friend is an equal partner, and that's not what a child is. You know, you're the parent, they're the child. So spank those kids if there's need to be, of course, with limitation, but I can assure you, I spanked my kids. But those boys love me. So forget about what you feel now. For sure, those children will learn to appreciate you, especially if you're consistent. But take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, ladies. Indeed, mom life ain't bad life and mothering ain't suffering, but sometimes it can be tight. And so if you're out there and you have a question and it's really tight where you're at, you know, send us a DM and let's see if we can help you, if we can advise you based on if we were in your situation. Now, if you have some advice for the anonymous mother, tell us what has worked for you having children in the same age range and them being a little bit difficult, or did we say strong-willed and yet you don't want to kill their spirit? So until next time, we can't wait to see you again. With love from Bump Love.